Hey guys, what's Gucci? It's AJ here, and today I'm not going to make a video about Swift programming, sadly. I've kind of ran out of ideas for it. I'm trying to create things new every day, but I really don't want to do a lot until the official iOS 8 version of Swift comes out so I can make some kind of apps with it. But I'll try to make a video tomorrow. But what I want to talk about is something that I found really enlightening, and that is another kind of little tidbit I found about how to learn programming. So hopefully the majority of people who come to this site need help in programming or need help in school because they need help in school about subjects on programming. And that was actually the main reason for making the site, is that it helps me and probably anyone else better learn anything when I actually can explain it to someone. Because when you explain it to someone, you're usually forced to explain all the details and nuances that you may just think you know, but when you kind of say it out loud, and that's what I use you guys as students, you're forced to say all the nuances, and that's what I try to do. And I try to be detailed, and I try to say the things when I watch other videos that's like, why is this person talking about this? That's all I need to know, or the little details that can mess you up, because usually you're not trying to do exactly what I make a video about. You're trying to do something else, or may just want to learn a concept. But something I wanted to basically get at here is that I was watching a talk from RailsConf, and I think it's this one by a guy named David Hennis. I'm gonna say it's wrong. David Heinemeier Hansson, and he's the creator of Ruby on Rails, which is a framework to easily make CRUD sites and many sites. Hulu is in it, and Twitter initially started using it. They switched to something else because of scalability issues. But in this video, I think he hits programming right on the head. He hits how to learn programming right on the head, and I'll give you guys like the 1 minute gist. And basically, he says, he says some of the greatest words that I wanted to hear. He says, how you learn programming is not through following some ideology or learning just a specific language or following this website or doing this 12-week course. Learning programming is as simple as learning everything else. And I was astonished how much this guy put me back in my place. And it's simple. He said, this is my key point here, is that to learn programming, you got to read a lot of code and you got to write a lot of code. It's just like writing, English papers. If you want to write a good English paper, when you first write, a paper for any class, no matter what it is, it sucks. I don't care if you're a really good writer. It sucks. It's a draft. And that's how code should be treated. Code is like your first draft. And you may think that you're done with it, but no, it can be made better, and you shouldn't care if the first time you're writing any code, you shouldn't care about following some ideologies or test-driven development or looking for some pattern that you just learned about in class. You should just care about writing the code, and then you got to revise it, just like any kind of writing strategy. If you take in an English course, you want to look over it, and simply you always want to work on writing a lot of code and reading a lot of code. So this means, reading Java libraries, reading other people's code, kind of taking notes from everyone else. And that's how you get good at writing too, right? You read other books, you learn words, and it's the same thing with programming. You see the patterns, you see what other people do, and you eventually accumulate that knowledge. You don't do some 12-week course and instantly become, God of programming. You write a lot of code and you read a lot of code. There's no cheat sheets. Now, that's what I think is very interesting about our industry now, is you see all these websites. All these websites create these 12-week programs, Code Academy. You follow this course and suddenly, boom, you can become a developer and you can make $60,000 a year, and you can make more than that if you're a freelance developer. You learn how to make a CRUD application. You learn how to do this. Well, the thing is, that's all nice, but you see so many of those, and I fear that while those are good and they're a great entry point, they kind of muddy the water into making you think, you're a good programmer. And the process is the process should be a lot longer than just kind of getting taught by someone how to do for me, it seems like they teach you how to do a certain number of specific steps to get to a certain place. You know, you gotta in programming, you gotta allow the creativity to flow, and you have to build yourself. You know, programming is everyone's journey, and you shouldn't be intimidated by the person who started when they programming when they were 5 and they were Google, and you shouldn't be intimidated if you started when you were 60 years old, because life is a journey from everyone else, and it's very important not to get caught up in the intimidation or what's hot at that time. Now, I agree that some languages I just hate to do, but if you like that language, you should do it. You know, you should look at other languages. You shouldn't just do what's hot, but if you want to make money, I can't say no to that. I mean, what's hot is what's hot. But you know, just because someone says, like, I think the best languages to learn starting out are Python and Ruby, because I've messed with other languages. I messed with C#, Java, Objective-C, Python, Ruby, Assembly, Lisp, and while I'm not God at any of those, I think I'm very low on the totem pole, and I don't think my videos are the best. I just, truthfully, always try to make my videos the best, which I don't think is the best. I don't think I have the highest quality videos or the deepest knowledge, but what I give you guys is the truth. I give you the truth, and that I'll always be truthful with you, and always try to show you what you guys can do to succeed, because I wish I had someone giving me advice here. I'll post this link in the description. It's about RailsCon, but literally he doesn't even really talk, he shows like Rails examples, but he talks about programming in general and life in general, and it's a really good talk. I may look up other talks by this guy. But he didn't learn programming till he was 20, and that was perfectly okay, and he always thought he had to make some big, like, scientific discovery, you know, he had to make something more efficient, or he had to figure out a new algorithm. But that wasn't him, and he never set off to do what he wanted to do, but he, you know, just like in anything, you just gotta put in the time, and it's, I think, definitely in programming, when you see all these sites and all these other things that are out to, you know, educate you and take your money, and I'm not saying they're bad, they're out there to take your money, it's easy to get lost in the thought process that, oh, I gotta do this course, I gotta get a college degree, I gotta be that guy, when really, in the end all, in anything, you gotta put in the time. I just ran a marathon today, and I did not do that well, honestly, because, well, running, you definitely got to put in the time, you know, and really with anything that's kind of worth doing, I would argue, you got to put in the time. You got to read the code. You got to put in you got to, you know, read the code and write the code. But that's my simple mantra that I'm going through, and that's what I'm going to try from now on. Is just, you know, make it simple. Don't think you got to go out of your way to do all these framework things and make all these decisions in life, you know. Choose whatever you want and find your own path and be who you want to be. You know, you may see all these other people doing this and may want to get into this field, but, you know, do what you want to do. You know, I am really interested in trying to do something, and honestly, I don't know what I want to do with my life. I don't know if I want to do programming forever, but all I know is I'm good at it right now, and I don't think I'm even close to mastering it. And so, I might as well just go along for the ride right now. But, you know, if you find what you do, you don't like the ride, you don't need to learn programming. It's not the end-all be-all. People think it's a really important skill, and you can make a lot of money for it, and a lot of people are looking to hire you for that, and that's definitely true. But life is much more than that, and coding is just like learning any other skill. You should be doing it every day. Somebody showed me this basic Quora post. Get better every day, and I kind of took this to heart too. And then I don't know if I can find it. I spelled get like get. Wow, guys. I'm not gonna find it, but essentially what it did is it showed compound interest. And oh, gosh. Let me skip to me finding it. Find it. Sorry for wasting your time, but essentially what it shows is that if you got better by 0.01% every day for a year, you would be 30 times better at any skill. Now, getting 0.01% of everything isn't quantifiable. You know, you can't quantify getting a certain percentage better at something to you, because it's all to you, and mastering other people is easy, but mastering yourself is much more difficult, if you get what I mean. You know, trying to control yourself mentally or physically is much more difficult, and I'm going on a huge rambling here, but if you're still listening, then hey, I might as well. You're interested in what I'm saying. And if you compound getting 0.01% better every day, what this math shows is that essentially you get 37 times better at something if you get 0.01% every day, 0.01% better every day, because it compounds. So that's pretty cool. And, I encourage everyone to just, read and write code. Who cares if it's crappy code? Who cares if you think it's crappy? Who cares if you're scared to be in front of someone? Just read and just write it. And, treat it as a draft. Try to, look at other people's code. Look at GitHub. Look at libraries that you use. And look at, Google's open source projects, Twitter's open source projects. Look at what these people have been writing for. Some of them, some people have contributed to that repository who've been writing for 20 years. Look at the Linux kernel, Linus Torvald, who's considered, one of the god programmers of forever, wrote. Just look at his code, try to read it. You don't need to understand it, but you need to try. You need to put in the time, no matter what that kind of takes. This is kind of known as the 10,000 hour rule, if you ever heard it, which basically says you don't master something until you put 10,000 hours in it. And it's a little bit debatable, but it's no shock that the more time you put into something, the better you get at it. So that's all I gotta say for today's video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. And yeah, if you have any suggestions for videos, or if you thought this video was good and you want me to continue little lessons like this, that's all I have to say, though. I hope you guys have a great day, and have the best day of your life.